Hey everybody, welcome to the Raw Online Report. Here to talk today about the biggest news in the bodybuilding industry. As you all know, today is my birthday. I'm 49 years old. Thank you. That's not, of course, the big news is that is true. But the big news is that Shawn Rhoden is our new Mr. Olympia champion. And from pretty much the minute he won that title last Saturday night, I've been getting so many text messages, emails, private messages asking the same two questions or variations thereof. Is Phil Heath going to come back next year? Do you think Phil is going to come back next year? Do you think he can get his title back? And the other one is, do you think Kai Greene is going to come back and win next year now that he sees that Phil's been beaten? And I can answer those separately, but my first answer to both of them is, can we just let Shawn Rhoden really savor and enjoy this win for 1 minute before we start saying, well, Kai would have beaten him, Kai at his best would have beaten that package, or, if Phil hadn't been off, Phil would have won, speculating, and already talking about what could have happened or looking ahead 1 year instead of just enjoy this moment, people. This is, it's a rare thing that happens. We don't get to see too many really big shakeups in this sport. Our sport can be boring and predictable, as you know, if you've been a long-time fan, especially when you have a Mr. Olympia that's dominant for years and years in a row. Doesn't matter how great the champion is, we still collectively as fans do get bored of seeing the same guy win year after year after year. Even Lee Haney, who everybody loved Lee. Everybody loved Lee Haney. He still is today, a gentleman, so inspiring, so humble, just the epitome of, what we would want for an ambassador of the sport, just a man's man, great, a religious man, a man of character and integrity and faith and all that good stuff, as well as being, a very humble champion that he was. And by the end of his reign, people were starting to get antsy, trust me, because I started following the sport and it was already in that. I remember reading the magazine starting in late 87, and by that point he'd already won 45-6. So just around the time he was winning his 85, 86, it was his fourth Olympia is when I started. So he was only halfway through his reign, and already people were starting to grouse and rumble about the same guy winning every year. And even though everybody loved him, like I said, and it's not like there was anybody, Rich Gaspari gave him a good run, but there was nobody that was really, you could make strong arguments on why they should have been beating Lee Haney. Lee was pretty dominant as Mr. Olympia. He didn't have anyone that was too close to his overall package that he had, which was the structure, the shape, the mass, even the condition. Most of the time his condition was spot on. So after him came Dorian. It only took a couple wins of Dorian before you started already people grumbling, well, what about Shawn Ray? What about Flex Wheeler? What about Kevin Levrone? A couple of years later, Nasser. A lot of people would rather have seen them. Those guys all had their camps that thought they should have been Mr. Olympia. And the same thing happened with Ronnie. Ronnie lost or maintained his title over Jay 1 year. Jay's big breakout year was 01. And a couple other of his wins. I think it was 2000 against Kevin, or 2001 or 2. Where what I'm saying is that there's always been there's been very few actual shakeups. Most of the time, Mr. Olympia keeps his title if he's won it a few times. We have seen some shakeups in recent years. Jay getting his title back from Dexter Jackson in 2009, that was a big deal because no Mr. Olympia had ever done that. They had never lost the Mr. Olympia title and ever gotten it back until Jay did it. I don't know if we ever see that again. It's probably going to be in the form of Phil Heath getting his title back, because obviously all the other Mr. Olympias are retired at this point. So what I'm saying is, we saw Phil Heath, who was a great champion, love him or hate him, and I really hope people don't hate him. He's not a bad guy. Sometimes he comes across on social media a certain way because he responds to people in a certain tone at times, joking with them, or he can be seen like mocking or insulting. But like Phil said, he's the first champion to actually have to deal on a daily basis with this social media, avalanche of comments and opinions and people trying to put him down and belittle him and argue with him. And no other Mr. Olympia ever. When they interacted with their fans, it was at places like seminars where people paid money to sit there and listen to them and ask questions. They weren't going to sit there and heckle. You're going to pay $50 to go see Lee Haney and heckle him the whole time. But people online do that to Mr. Olympia. every day, thousands of times every day, on his Twitter, comments on the YouTube videos, on the message boards like MD Noble and many others. People have their opinions, and now you can hear them all 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, online for the world to see. So Shawn Rhoden was able to dethrone 7-time Mr. Olympia, who most of us, myself included, thought was a shoo-in for this year's title. I never had a doubt in my mind that Phil was going to win Olympia number 8. I was certain of it. The closest we thought anyone was coming to him was going to be, biggest challenge would be from from Big Ramy or from William Bonac. And they were second, third last year. They didn't turn out to be huge threats to Phil this year, but obviously Shawn Rhoden did, and Shawn was able to beat him. And, Shawn's been at this, he's been knocking on that door for a while. He's only been out of the top 5 as in the Mr. Olympia contest once in 2011, the first year he did it, when he was 11th place. Every year from then on, he's been in the top 5. He's been 3rd place 3 different times, and he was 2nd place in 2016. So 2nd place at the Olympia, that's you're right there. You're that far away. So I guess that I want you all to just recognize that. And also another thing I think he deserves credit for, he is the oldest man to ever win the Mr. Olympia contest. He's 43 years old. Chris Dickerson was 43 years old when he won it in 1982. But Chris Dickerson's birthday is in August. So he was he had just turned 43, maybe a month or two if it was September, October that year. But Shawn Rhoden's birthday is in April. So that's how they do all these statistics in professional sports. The youngest pitcher to pitch a perfect game, or the oldest boxer to hold a title. They always give you not only the years and the months, because that matters. Because if I'm 49 years old in one day, and I'm the world champion of boxing, and another guy was 49 years old 8 months and 10 days, he was older than me. He deserves the record, not me. So let Shawn Rhoden savor this moment. It was a tremendous upset. Very few people saw it coming. Very few people thought, even after the judging, when it looked like he was a pretty deserving winner, very few people were sure that it was going to go that way, because anyone who's been around the sport for a number of years knows that on at least several occasions, there have been very, very controversial decisions at the Olympia. We can name so many of them. Arnold at the 72 Olympia against Sergio in Munich. Arnold again at the 1980 Olympia in Australia. Franco Colombo, 1981. A couple, Lee Haney, 1990 with Labrada. That was kind of iffy. Dorian, arguments could have been made that Nasser or Sean Earl of Roney could have edged him out a couple of those years. Let's just say that there have been questionable wins. Victor Martinez maybe should have beaten Jay Cutler 2007. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people who were there right up front. So what I'm saying is, it would not have been uncharacteristic, historically speaking, of the Mr. Olympia if Phil had went on and won that show and gotten 8 titles, even though, yes, he had his obliques were bulging out. His whole abdominal wall was kind of bulging out. And I want to talk to Phil next week. He's already talking about release some information about how incisions from his hernia surgery didn't heal. And I've seen some videos where they've done very tight close-ups on the area. Something does seem very strange going on there. Like the abs are coming away from each other. They're sort of migrating from the middle. It's odd. It doesn't look like a bubble gut or anything regular hernia. There's more going on. And I hope he can share that with me. As far as, I realize this mic's been over here the whole time. Phil Heath coming back and taking the title next year. If he can resolve that issue, there's no reason he can't. He does beat everybody in the back shots. That I don't think anyone can really argue that point. Even Shawn Rhoden, he loses the back shots to Phil Heath. Phil's rear delt bicep and rear lat spur they're just insane shots. Insane. So much thick, striated muscle, dense, detailed. It's nuts. Nobody's got a rear double like that in the sport right now. So I do believe as long as Phil could fix that, resolve that issue with his abdominal wall, and go back to, because condition-wise, size-wise, everything was there. It was just that one glaring area that ended up costing him the show, because Rhoden had a very tight, narrow midsection, flat stomach, great abs, and that's what it came down to. Sometimes it's strange. Sometimes, like with Dorian and Nasser, it came down to Dorian's back. Nasser didn't have a back like Dorian. It was big, but it had no detail. It was spongy looking compared to Dorian's, which Dorian's looked like granite. And they were both from the front, damn good, huge guys with good shape. Side shots are pretty equal. It was the back. That's where Dorian got him. Shawn Rhoden, I believe, from what I was looking at the show, he got Phil on the midsection. It's a beautiful physique, but they both have good physiques. I think Shawn's shape is much prettier, more aesthetic in a lot of poses, like the front double bicep, the front lat spread, abdominal and thigh. But, you know, it wasn't complete. It was a 4-point win. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't a unanimous decision on the judges. So that tells me, of course, Phil could come back next year. Of course he could, and get the title back. You know, will he? You know, Shawn's obviously, Rhoden's very good. He wants to hold on to that title. I'm sure he wants at least a couple wins. Who wouldn't? So, you know, a battle. We'll have a good battle in our hands. Speaking of a good battle, it would be an even better battle if Kai Greene does decide to come back. The most exciting years for the Mr. Olympia before this was pretty exciting too. But the 3 years where Kai Greene was runner-up to Phil, those were just crazy years. Those were like the Ronnie and Jay battles. It was epic. Two great, very evenly matched rivals. You know, Kai hasn't competed in a couple of years now, but he still obviously posts a lot of videos and pictures. He looks like he could jump right back into prep, and the condition that he holds year round, it looks to me like he could be Olympia ready in 6 to 8 weeks max. He stays pretty lean and he's still huge. And you know, Kai has a very different look to him that nobody else has. You know, I've said it myself. I'm guilty of it, saying that all the guys today kind of look alike. Well, nobody really looks like Kai. Kai has a unique physique, so much dense muscle, such unique shapes to some of the muscles, detail in places like his quad striations. They're just insane. His hamstring striations. You know, he's just got a lot of muscle quality, a lot of detail and striations and splits and grooves going on all over the place. And he's massive. He's, you know, 5'7" or 8. Let's give him 5'8". Competes around 270 to 275 normally. That's nuts. He pushed Phil very hard. There were times when I was there, whatever the last year was that Kai was second. Half the auditorium immediately got up in disgust and fled the arena as soon as it was announced as runner-up. They didn't even want to give Phil Heath the time of day to listen to like 10 seconds of his victory speech. They were out. They were so upset. So I think Kai, now I'm not going to say could Kai beat Rhoden, because, you know, they did compete together at a couple Olympias, and Kai was winning. Kai beat him at those shows, at those particular Olympias. So I don't know. You know, if Rhoden is better now, and I do believe he's better now, though he's been very good for a long time. I don't think he necessarily improved that much physique-wise, but he did come in just crazy condition, and you know, I just think he's been very good for a long time. This is the first time that he brought that extra special level of condition, that just shocking level of condition that was enough to finally put him over the edge, along with Phil being a little off because of distraction with the midsection. Kai would be right there. Kai would do. Would he win over Phil if Phil looks the same as he did this time? Probably, because of the midsection. You know, Kai's got to be careful with his midsection too. He's been known to, especially when he lets it relax, it definitely protrudes and hangs. So he would have to make sure, damn sure, going up against Rhoden, he kept that sucked in and tight and got it as small and tight as possible. I think the best course of action for Kai would be to come in lighter, like around 255, 260, like he has at some shows in the past. I believe he won a New York Pro around that weight, an Arnold Classic around that weight, and just so much more detailed, streamlined, with a smaller waist. Because, you know, when someone's that short, relatively speaking, I'm a little under 5'8", but it's a lot of muscle to put on a small frame. If you're 275, 280, I think he's been on stage, so he says. They don't weigh these guys in, so we don't really know. So I would love to see next year's Olympia be an amazing battle between Shawn Rhoden repeating that look or improving on it, Phil Heath back looking like he did a few years ago, which was lights out action for everyone else. Kai Greene bringing the look that one of the looks, he had a couple really great looks that took second place at the Olympia. Kai Greene at his best. Big Rami downsized, but crazy detailed, dry, separated hard, maybe all the way down to 270, which I know people are saying, how's that possible? He could do it. Trust me, he could do it. Geez, so many people. I love to see Dexter with a little bit more of his thigh sweep back. Bonac at his best is still deadly. I'm sorry, Dexter. The thigh sweep thing it's pretty minimal, but I'm a nitpicker. I look at little details, and I had to try and figure out while I'm looking at this lineup, why is he not in the first call out? And because he was in condition, Dexter still looked, upper body still looked awesome. Side shots awesome. I saw something start to go in his legs, but still at his best, Dexter's right up there. Rolly bringing that look or better next year. Throw in a few of the newer guys. I don't need to go through the whole list, but I'd like to see at least 10 guys up there who are all capable on that day of winning. That would be an amazing Mr. Olympia. That would be the greatest Mr. Olympia ever, because it's never that interesting when one guy dominates the field. It's like, okay, well, there's him and there's everybody else. And it was that way a couple of years when Dorian won that I was there for it. A couple of years that Ronnie won, it was like that. He walked out and it was over. The show's over. And it's a spectacle to watch him, and it's fun to watch the other guys battle for second, third, fourth, fifth, and on down the line. But it's not as exciting as when you don't know what's going to happen, who's going to win. It's a couple of those Kai and Phil years, you didn't know who was going to win. A couple of those Ronnie and Jay years, you didn't know who was going to win, not till the very last second. And you don't want just two guys either. Ideally, you'd want to see, at least 5 guys who are all just a hair away from each other with the total packages, different looks, all amazing in their own ways. And then, unfortunately for the judges, they have to sort it out to the best of their abilities and fairly decide who deserves to win, who should be second, third, fourth, fifth on down the line. Those are exciting shows. When you watch any sport, you want to see evenly matched opponents. That's what makes it thrilling. When one team or one player or one athlete just obliterates the other one, like a boxing match where it's a knockout in 5 seconds, or a UFC match. It's fun to watch the replay for over and over again. Wow, look at that guy get kicked in the head. But if you're sitting there, if I was a fan who just paid, $500 or $1,000 for a good seat to watch a UFC fight up front somewhere, and the main event was over in 5 seconds, I'd be pretty pissed off. I'd want my money back. So that is all. I want to congratulate once again Shawn Rhoden. Amazing win, tremendous achievement for him. So happy to see him. He's a humble, soft-spoken guy. He's kind of actually, when he's on the mic, you got to really listen to what is he saying, because he can be too soft-spoken. I'm sure he's going to work on that and be a little more outgoing on the mic, because he's going to be doing a lot more interviews now than he ever has before. So I'm sure he's going to get a little more comfortable with it. But like I said, humble, hardworking guy. Until very recently, didn't trash talk anyone. This time he was really just responding to others who had done that to him, really. But congratulations to Shawn. Let's let him savor this win. Let's all appreciate the fact that he accomplished this achievement that we didn't think was going to happen. I certainly never thought Phil Heath was going to be taken down. And if it was going to happen, I didn't think it was going to be Shawn Rhoden that did it. So, you surprised a lot of us. Props to you, Shawn. Wow. And next year, yeah, we can start talking about it, but let's live in the moment for now. It will be a very exciting Olympia next year. I'm pretty sure, I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I bet Phil Heath will be back. I wouldn't count on Kai Greene coming back, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kai Greene came back. And I would be very happy to see that. A lot of people would be very, very happy to see that, because now we got a real fight on our hands. Now it's a party, as one Morel likes to say. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check off the notifications, little bell thingy and all that. And I will talk to you later.